Hello, Narnach here. Welcome back to Path of Exile. We are playing in the Hardcore Breach League as a solo self-found beacon of corruption necromancer with a petting zoo of animals. And of course, I mean zombies with that. We are gonna play the desert map, tier 1 map. It's blue. It's gonna have elemental equilibrium, which doesn't touch us. And monsters have 18% increased damage. Should be manageable. The Leech of Splinters has a habit of sometimes doing a bit more damage than you would expect him to, so 18% should definitely still be on the manageable side, especially with as many distractions as we have walking about. This is the final of the tier 1 maps that running for the unlock. After this it's going to be tier 2 maps. And so far I have been playing each and every of these maps white first, then followed by a blue. And on one or two I've also played them as yellows, because simply for the fact that I got rare versions of those maps. Of course, if you have rare versions of tier 1 maps, you're gonna run them. It's a waste not to use those rares, especially early on. And I was really lucky that the rares basically turned out to be equivalent to blues. As in, they were not stacking a bunch of really nasty modifiers, but they were rather manageable. Okay, just want to clear a little bit of a space around the vegan encounter that I noticed there. We are getting bombarded from the side, but those guys, they have a habit of just chewing out quite some damage if you let them. Also a 6-socketed item, those are nice to sell. Ah, this is just a dead end pocket. That's even better. Now we know we don't have to go back here. Hello vegan, what do you want from us today? Practice on dummies, just 1v to defeat you again. Let's have a look. Okay, you got 2 friends, that means this is going to be a combat mission. He never gets help for dummy missions. This is level 69, he can discharge some damage, let's not underestimate him. We got some corpses out, we'll raise some Spectres. That should deal with him, even though he tries to regenerate his way out of it. Can't defeat the minions, especially not Cost a Cloud. Who of course is kind of an unofficial minion now, the Cost a Cloud. Slowly getting the play pattern into my system. Just opening up with a bunch of Raging Spirits and then following up with raising Spectres. Once we get ourselves a 6-link, gonna tie Raging Spirits and raise Spectres together, rather than raise Spectres and zombies. They're gonna be channeled skills, so that way in the beginning of the fight when there's no corpses, we will be raising Spirits. The moment corpses start dropping, we will be recasting Spectres every once in a while. Now they're gonna alternate, so every 3/4 of a second, if there's a corpse, we're gonna get a new Spectre. That gives our Spectres some time to get into position, just snuggle up real close to some of our enemies. And then of course, once they get resummoned, they disappear into a puff of smoke. And we get a new minion that once again has a little bit of time to snuggle into position. And in the meantime we will be summoning Raising Spirits that after 7.5 seconds also drop a Caustic Cloud. And in the meantime they manage to do some damage. So that way we will be having the opportunity to keep casting Wither at our favorite targets, so they will be more vulnerable to the chaos damage that we will inflict with the Caustic Clouds. as well as having a slightly more fluent way of channeling our minions. Also, Ray Spectre costs 72 mana to cast. Wither is only 12 mana to channel. Cast it 4 times per second, but still, that's under 50 mana per second. And that makes it cheaper to recast. Therefore, a bit easier on the mana flask usage. Or in boss fights. Okay, let's see how this goes. See a clasped hand in the top left, where you do want to create a bit of a buffer here. Minions, please regather. Get some. Okay, let's just hide items here. Okay, that's the annoying bit, is that the clasped hands count as items. So if you hide items, you hide the clasped hands, which doesn't happen, of course, if you're with chests and other terrain features. On the other hand, we did manage to establish a bit of a safe zone. And after that we managed to open up 2 of the clasped hands. Which is better than some of my other bridge runs where I feel more pushed back and reactive rather than being able to take initiative. Still, bridges drop a ridiculous boatload of loot. Therefore, you're always just running around like mad in order to pick things up. Let's have a look. We can pick up some of these. And then let's make a quick town stop, empty our pockets, and then we can move onwards again. Let's see. For reference, we are currently level 77. 77 and a half already. It goes quickly. And yeah, that's enough scrolls. That's good. Jeweler's Strongbox. Okay. Rogue Exile, 5 additional magic items. I like it. Also, I don't want to get body blocked here. Minions, please make an appearance. Then we summon you. Zachary. Yes, you. Here, have some Cosmic Clouds. Bye bye. That went rather elegantly. Not for him, but I think we handled that rather well. And of course, no decent drops. Okay, I suspect we're walking up to the boss. That's the Legion of Splinters. It has a bit of a familiar feel to it. Just zigging and zagging its way to the boss fight. Most of the rest of the area feels more open, and then there's this little narrow corridor that tends to lead you to the boss fight. On the other hand, I might be mistaken. Of course, the human brain is really predisposed to see patterns everywhere. Sometimes those patterns actually exist. Oftentimes patterns are not actual patterns, but more figments of your imagination. In the end, oh, this is a boss that's out in the open, so being on guard in areas that could be leading to the boss is better than just blindly walking into him. That's the positive way to phrase it. This is simply a dead-end corner of the map. No boss, no nothing. On the other hand, it means there's gonna be less backtracking on the whole. So that's also good. Oh, we completely forgot to pick up some splinters here. Probably because they are just simply not fitting on the screen. I think I've got a lot of diamond flasks. Might as well pick up some of those. Okay. The sheer amount of trash items that drop from breaches almost make you want to play with animate weapon or animate guardian in order to just turn all that crap just into floating items, so your tooltips and your hovering over items actually works a bit better. Almost. Just don't have the space in the build for that. I would almost wish for a transmute skill. I remember back in the day with Dungeon Siege 1, where you had transmute as a skill for the priest tree. At least I think the green ones were the priest line of skills. And you could just transmute any item into gold for its value. I'm not quite sure if there was a loss in there or not. But I thought that was really neat. That way you could just manage your inventory. All the stuff that you didn't care about, you could just get rid of it. And then we have the Liege of Splinters. The one that walks is the one that must die. All the other ones are simply clones. Also, the more targets we pump out, and we get a loot drop, so that must be the real one. And the more targets we pump out, the less likely the boss is to actually shoot at us. So as a minion monster, you're in a pretty good spot, I would say. We got a little bit of space left. And more than 50 monsters remain, so we can simply just continue. So, a bit about thinking to recognize the pattern. There was no pattern this time. We simply walked into them because it was just one of the rooms. This was a dead end. I'm slightly confused about map layout. Ah, there's a bit of the inner bit there that we missed. Yeah, I know, inner bits. It's all very specific wordings, I know. So, go up here a little bit. Go there. And then this is likely to connect into further open areas. Ah, it's behind Vegan. So we just took a turn to the side besides Vegan rather than pushing forward. Yeah. Well, here's the rest of the map. Hello everybody. Can we join you to play? Yes, no, maybe. Not really hearing it here. So, incinerators, careful with those. They have a habit of doing quite a lot of damage if you let them. Especially the chaos version of the incinerators. The fire ones are not as bad as the chaos ones, but still that entire tree in the monster family, so to say, not a big fan. And no more monsters remain. Keep hitting the wrong button. So opening up inventory and we can go back to town. So that was just a single trip back to town. That's nice. And now we managed to clear the desert. So all the tier 1 maps have been completed. So it's time to step up our game and move onwards to tier 2. But that's going to be in another episode. So for now, I'm simply going to thank you very much for watching. And I hope to see you again next episode. Bye bye.